Have you ever given a gift to someone without expecting anything in return? There is a joy and a uniqueness that comes from selfless acts like this. Even more so if what you're giving them isn't a gift that like material value, but a gift of giving your gifts in superpowers. Part of becoming a giver, the V in giver, which is all about delivering value. And so today I want to cover 5 things to consider when you're trying to deliver value to others with your gifts and superpowers, and really focus heavily on the giving without expecting anything in return. Because this is really, really important. If you're on any sort of a path of personal development, professional development, you're trying to take your skills, talents, gifts, and upgrade them to becoming superpowers, then you're going to have to find the ways that you can deliver amazing value to people and not make it feel like you're expecting things from them, that they actually feel that value and feel like they can take that to whatever the next level is. Before we dive into those 5 things, make sure that you like the video, share it, comment. I'd love to know people's thoughts. Make sure you follow the channel. You can also find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can check out our programs and how we help people in developing their gifts and superpowers to give to the right people and provide value to them by going to our website, thegivermethod.com. In our interactions today, which really often are kind of heavily dominated by transactions and exchanges, the idea, the concept of giving without expecting anything in return can feel alien. Giving without expectations of any sort of reward, it changes you. It changes how you experience things. It changes how you show up. And so there are so many benefits to that on how it enhances you, enhances your growth, and enhances your life. So it's not just that practice of the material gifts like we mentioned. It's about your time, effort, emotion. That's why delivering value in the way we're talking about is one of the core principles of the Giver Method. Now, my name is Jake. I'm the founder and chief giver over at the Giver Method. And at the Giver Method, we're focused on helping people to develop their gifts to become superpowers, to identify who are the right people to give those to, how to provide value to people that's so clear and vivid without asking for anything in return, and how to effectively and eagerly engage and communicate and work with individuals while you're delivering that value. The outcome of it is that you get a couple of things. Number one, relationship riches is what we call it. You'll see improved relationships with your spouse, partner, kids, parents, siblings, friends, coworkers, whoever it may be, that you'll see those returns in those relationships. Also, I just have found that when you develop your gifts and superpowers and you give them in the right way to the right people, and you don't expect, the universe has ways of paying you back. Not immediately, and not that it's going to happen every single time, but consistently in my life, I've seen it in the people I've worked with and coached, that when you give without expecting, the universe pays you back. So that's going to be some of the biggest pieces we cover. Once you become a giver, you can truly transform people's lives using your superpowers. You can make a greater impact. You can have better connections and more fulfillment. So diving into these 5 things to consider when you're trying to deliver value to others with your gifts and superpowers. The first thing you have to really think about is you really have to define for yourself giving and expectations. Giving itself is the act of providing help or support or resources, not necessarily gifts, not physical things, without expecting anything in return. For caring people, it's expression of compassion. It can be kindness. It can be that you're showing empathy. It can be showing that you're trying to build somebody up. So defining what giving means to you, you need to start by doing that. I highly recommend grab a piece of paper, maybe start jotting down notes, ideas, put your ideas, thoughts in the comments as well, because I always love to see it. Of course, as well as defining giving, we define expectation, right? So that is the anticipation of receiving something in return for actions and efforts. It's a belief that your generosity should have some sort of a reciprocated reward to you. Now, that can come off as selfish, having that sort of a conscious expectation. It has a negative impact on the relationship. It can affect the relationship when you're expecting that. So make sure for yourself, you define what is giving, what are expectations, and how do I see those show up in my life. The second thing that you're going to want to consider is that you're actually going to want to define for yourself what it is to be giving without any sort of an expectation. Okay? Giving that without expecting anything, like we talked about, it goes beyond just charity of giving. It has, in many cases, those have some sort of a level of expectation. And so it's a form of selfless giving where you're focused solely on the act itself, the individual, and that you're trying to help them to improve themselves. You don't have a desired outcome other than trying to help deliver that value to them. When you give without that expectation, you're not expecting any sort of validation, recognition, or reward. You're focused solely on that positive impact on someone's life. You're focused on spreading positivity and making the greater impact when you're working with individuals. And so it comes down to kindness. It allows you to connect with others on deeper levels than you currently are. You can have greater and more positive impacts on their lives. By living this way, honestly, when you're not expecting anything, gosh, the things like disappointment go away. You're not being disappointed or let down at certain things because it's like, well, gosh, I'm just giving because I'm giving, and the only thing I know is that at some point this relationship will improve. The universe will find ways to pay me back. But in reality, I'm just giving because I want to make that impact in their life. So make sure that you've broken down for yourself what giving without expectations looks like for you and the ways that you could potentially be doing that with your gifts and superpowers. The third area, the thing we want to think about and be considering when we're giving without expecting, is actually like the reasons that people expect when they give. And that may be something that you start to notice when people are giving to you. You may notice some of these things, and it's things that you want to be thinking about so you can be more intentional with how you're delivering that value. So let's go through some of these. They may feel that there's a sense of entitlement, believe that generosity should be reciprocated. We kind of hit on that. They're looking for recognition and validation. They are giving because they want the praise or admiration. They could be doing it to create some sort of a scarcity mindset. They're trying to do the whole, I'm going to give to you so that I can protect my interests. I want to, something along those lines. It may be with the expectation like that they have a fear of being taken advantage of. It's something that we talk about in the book, The Giver Method, a lot, is, how to give without over-giving or not being taken advantage of. Like, that's so important. As I interviewed people to prepare to write my book, that was one of the things that came up constantly, was people feeling like, well, how do I avoid the being taken advantage of? And it comes a lot down to like that there will be a payback is not going to be equal to what they're giving. And that, once again, that takes you out of the mindset of giving without expecting. The other reason that, oftentimes people expect is that they're just trying to keep control. They're trying to give with the expectation that the recipient, is going to have some sort of an action or behave in a particular way. And so these detract from the point of trying to up-level yourself and up-level your gifts and superpowers, making a greater impact, creating those relationship riches. So make sure that as you go through interactions, as people are maybe giving things to you, you look for those and you start to identify the ways that you could work around them without having any sort of issues. Now what are we on, the fourth area? Yeah, I guess maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe I've miscounted, but I think this is the fourth one. Let's talk about the benefits. The benefits of giving without expecting anything in return. Like, it is so freeing and changes you and changes how you experience things with others. It will open up all sorts of new possibilities, and it will encourage you to be even more generous with your gifts and superpowers, with your time, your energy, the things that you have available to you. These resources that every person has that goes beyond just, the material items. When you're giving in this way without that expectation, you get to enjoy the act more for your own sake, and you don't worry about what others are thinking or how they're going to respond. So here are some benefits, like really clearly how I see that value in that way has a benefit to you. So number one, it's going to foster deeper connections. We talk a lot about how we're developing better relationships. Those are ways that the universe is going to pay you back. You're going to develop deeper connections with people. That's just how it works. They're more likely to open up with you. They're more likely to feel supported as you're doing that. It also encourages your own personal growth. It encourages you to step out of your sense of comfort and to do more. And it will start to create a greater sense of purpose for you. It teaches you to be really mindful and intentional about what you're doing, and it helps you to focus in the moment rather than thinking about the future. It's going to boost self-confidence for you. Trust me, you feel proud and you look at the positive impact of your actions, and it's going to immediately start to boost that confidence. As the one that I've seen that I look at and it helps me a ton, a few years back, my brain decided to start realizing there's this thing called anxiety. And so I use it as a way to reduce stress and anxiety. Knowing that you don't have to worry about like how it's going to get something back or if they're going to pay me on that or whatever that may be, it reduces the stress when you reduce the expectation. You're reducing the expectation on them, you're reducing the expectation on yourself. And then of course, it also helps to create this sense of gratitude. And when you start to have more gratitude and appreciate things more, happiness and joy will come out so much more in you. You'll find more fulfillment, more joy, that it doesn't matter, like no material things can match that. And so you give without that expectation. The kindness, the generosity, it's going to inspire and uplift you. So cultivate that gratitude. So those are areas that the benefits come from. And then the fifth one, I think we're on the fifth one, is like the way you practice that. So these should all be pretty straightforward because I think we've hit on them. These are also things that I cover a lot in other videos that you can check out on the channel. But let's cover, I think I've got 5 or 6 of these things that you can do, that how you can be giving more without expecting things in return. So let's see, number 1, make an effort to listen more. So active listening is something we cover a lot, and being inquisitive, being interested, diving deeper into what they want. Number 2 is being super mindful of your intentions. How do I want this to show up? In the previous video, we talked about your default program versus like your desired future, and how you create your desired future versus ending up with your default future. Make time. So the third one is make time for kindness and random acts within your day. When you actually plan and budget time, that how can I give? How can I do this for a loved one, a family member, a friend, a coworker, a stranger? Doesn't matter. If you actually budget time in your day, you'll find yourself doing it more and find it becoming more and more comfortable and easy for you to do. You have to, one of the other things you can do is avoid keeping score. Because I did this, I expect that, or anything like that. I watched your kids, can you watch mine now? Anything like that, just don't keep score. Number 5 is something that I cover a lot that people forget about, which is you have to celebrate success. When you do give without expecting, when you do these things, like you have to practice self-care, and you have to celebrate those successes as you have them. And then you have to be present and in the moment. You got to give the focus to them as an individual. If you're giving that value and delivering your gifts and superpowers, you are doing so for their impact, for how they're going to build up. So you need to be mindful with those intentions, push out any sort of external factors or influences that there could be, and just give and just be there in the moment with them. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, once again, like it, comment your thoughts in the comment box, give us a subscribe, check out thegivermethod.com. I like to round it out by just saying to remember that giving without expectations means that help or guidance, giving your gifts without hoping or expecting something in return. It's about that being selfless, being generous for the sake of making others happy and seeing them improve. It's about practicing by starting small, simple things and working your way up, that you will be able to create deeper relationships, foster community, create more of an emotional impact, practice empathy and compassion when you do this. And on top of that, that it's going to show you the value of the person and help you to see more and more what that relationship means to you and the value and things that are coming just because you are showing up and you're being that way. I am giving without expecting anything in return. And of course, I always tell people, continue on this path of growth. Whatever path you're on, you have to believe in what you're doing and who you're working to become. All right? Now, you could, if you've been jotting things down, writing things down. If not, grab a piece of paper, start jotting things down. I want you to be thinking about something that you could do, a step you could go do, a challenge, a task, or whatever that you could look at. Is I want you to think about and reflect on your own mindset and the motivation behind certain giving that you've done in the past. Ask yourself why you gave, and if there were expectations attached with it in any way. Like, look at what your intentions were. Think about shifting how I shift my mindset to giving without expecting anything in return. And then choose one small act that you could do today. What's one thing you could do that you could go give, and that you're not looking for some sort of an outcome? You're not looking for recognition. You're just focused on the joy of giving and the positive impact it can have on others. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you enjoy the content. Like I said, follow us for more of that. Check us out at thegivermethod.com. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.